The movie starts in the Amazon jungle, where there's a legend that says the Moon's Tears tree has powerful healing abilities. It can cure any disease and lift any curse. Many people and even armies tried to find this tree, including a guy named Aguirre, who did everything he could to get his hands on it. At one point, Aguirre gets captured by the tree's guardians. After being taken to their tribe's land, he asks for the Iron Head Spear, which is the key to the tree. But the tribe refuses to give it to him. So, Aguirre and his men attack the tribe, but they end up facing a magical curse. This curse forces them to live forever on the Amazon River with no way out because it keeps them from dying. The story picks up with McGregor, who's telling the Moon's Tears legend to a bunch of archaeologists, begging them for the Iron Head Spear so he can go on an expedition to find the tree. But the archaeologists just laugh it off. They don't believe in any of this crazy legend stuff. That's when McGregor's sister, Lily, realizes her brother is stuck and can't convince them. So she decides to take matters into her own hands. She sneaks around, getting ready to swipe the spear. Lily busts into the artifact room, throws on one of the explorer's outfits, and just blends right in. She opens the chest and snatches the spear like a pro. But just as she's about to make her escape, Prince Joachim shows up, and he's also after the spear. He opens the chest, and bam, it's empty. Then he sees Lily running for the exit. Lily, quick on her feet, knocks out Joachim's assistant and tries to climb out the window, but she gets stuck. Joachim's all ready to throw her out of it and demands the spear, threatening to let her die unless she hands it over. Lily pulls a fast one, tosses the empty chest at him, and he helps her down. Only to realize the chest's a dud. She totally played him. The archaeologists try to apologize to Joachim, but he's furious and slaps them around. Lily heads back home with her brother, and now they're all set to head off to the Amazon. The only thing they need? A badass captain who knows the river like the back of his hand. So, to get the journey going, they turn to Captain Frank. Frank's a total con artist. He tricks tourists into believing the river is full of dangers just to make a ton of cash. His boat is an absolute wreck, falling apart at the seams. Lily and her brother show up to meet Frank, but they're not alone. Joachim's men are tailing them, watching every move. The guy who runs all the boats on the river is Nilo. He tells Frank to pay up what he owes, but Frank's broke. So Nilo takes the boat's engine hostage until Frank coughs up the money. Later that night, Lily heads to Nilo's office to try and get a boat for their trip. But guess who's already there? Frank, breaking in to steal the key to the engine room. When Frank finds out Lily's willing to pay big bucks for the captain who'll go with her, he decides to tag along. As soon as she tells him where they're headed, he gets all nervous. This place is full of danger. Lily pulls out a map Aguirre drew centuries ago and tells him the legend. Frank just laughs it off, but Lily notices he's trying to swipe the key. So she uses her lock-picking skills and steals it right out of his hand. That's when Frank decides to help her out with the journey. The next day, Lily and Frank finally agree on the trip, but then the real Nilo shows up with McGregor. When Lily realizes Frank isn't Nilo, she's about to bail. But right before she leaves, Frank sees the necklace and the Iron Head Spear. His face changes, and he begs her to let him join the trip. Just then, a huge jaguar attacks them, and the only person who can fight it off is Frank. Everyone's shocked, and even Lily starts to believe Frank might actually be able to protect them on this wild adventure. The next day, Frank goes off to steal his engine back and gets the boat ready for the trip. But at the same time, one of Joachim's men kidnaps Lily. She manages to escape, rushing back to the boat with Frank and McGregor. Word of Lily's escape reaches Joachim, and now he's on the move, taking his submarine to track them down and get the Iron Head Spear back for himself. And we find out that Joachim wants the tree for a much darker reason. He plans to use its power to help the German soldiers in World War I. The events of the movie take place in 1916. I forgot to say, Joachim's submarine reaches Frank's boat and starts attacking them. One of the missiles is about to destroy the boat, but Frank pulls off an insane move, dodging the missile and crashing the boat into Nilo's harbor, destroying all of his ships in the process. The journey continues, and we see Lily getting more and more excited about the river. She's in awe, while Frank's got his own excitement going on. He's totally into Lily now. But poor McGregor? Yeah, he's struggling hard. The boat reaches a crossroads, and Lily suggests Frank takes a shortcut, even though it's a dangerous path. Frank is against it because it's risky, but Lily insists. That night, Frank stops the boat to give the engine a rest, and they end up spending the night alone together. After a while, McGregor wakes up to a huge jaguar chasing him. It turns out the jaguar is Frank's pet. The whole attack earlier in the restaurant was a trick to get them to agree to join the journey. Meanwhile, Joachim's off searching along the Amazon riverbanks for Aguirre and his army. He finds Aguirre's body and tries to pour water on it to wake him up. He asks Aguirre to make a deal with him, promising to help Joachim get the Iron Head spear so they can reach the magical tree and break his curse. Back with Frank and the crew, they're navigating a treacherous part of the river full of rocks. But Frank's a master captain and knows how to get them through it. Later, he and McGregor head into the jungle to chop wood for the engine. When they return, they find Lily has discovered a map just like the one she has on board the boat. Now she realizes Frank knows about the tree too and has been trying to find it all along. While they're arguing, the boat falls into an ambush by a tribe. Turns out Frank was paying them to scare tourists. The soldiers take them to the tribe leader and Lily asks her to translate the inscriptions on the Iron Head spear. From the translation, they find out that whoever wants to reach the moon's tears tree has to turn water to stone, heal a broken heart, and the tree must be under the moonlight to harvest the special leaves. She also tells them that the tree will be under the moon in 2 days. To reach the tree, they need to follow the path of the snake that bites its own tail. Lily examines the map and spots a path shaped like a snake biting its own tail. She immediately knows that's the right route. She decides to continue the journey alone, paying Frank for his services and planning to head out at dawn. But that night, Aguirre and his army, along with some venomous snakes, attack the tribe. A brutal fight breaks out, and Aguirre manages to steal the Iron Head spear. Aguirre tries to make his escape, but Frank stops him, and they engage in a fierce battle. It ends with Aguirre stabbing Frank in the chest with a knife. Just before Frank falls off a cliff, he throws the Iron Head spear to Lily. Lily and her brother escape in a small boat, fleeing the tribe. The tribe leader advises them to leave the jungle and avoid the riverbanks to steer clear of Aguirre's army. Lily runs deep into the jungle, but Aguirre tracks her down and catches her. However, the curse forces him to stay away and he's dragged back to the riverbanks. Aguirre returns to his men and tells them they need Joachim's help to track down Lily. So, they send bees to deliver the message to Joachim. The next day, Lily runs into Frank by the riverbank and is relieved to see he's still alive. Soon, McGregor and the tribe leader join them. When they spot the dagger still lodged in Frank's chest, but see that he's somehow still standing, they're shocked. That's when Frank finally reveals the truth. He was once part of Aguirre's army, and he's been trying to reach the tree for years. Before Frank can finish his story, Lily pulls the dagger out of his chest and he miraculously survives. But McGregor can't take the sight and faints. When he wakes up, he's stunned to find out that Lily plans to continue the journey with Frank, leaving him behind. She says her goodbyes. Meanwhile, Joachim gets the message from the bees, learning the location of the Iron Head spear. Back with Frank and Lily, Frank opens up about his past, explaining that Aguirre had been trying to reach the moon's tears tree to cure his sick daughter. Lily also discovers that Frank is the one who drew those maps. Once they reach the tribe of the tree's guardians, Frank realizes that Aguirre has evil intentions. That's when he makes the decision to stop him once and for all. In the end, Aguirre manages to kill the tribe leader, but he fails to kill his young daughter because Frank saves her. Years pass, and the battle between Aguirre and Frank continues, until Frank finally traps Aguirre and his men in a cave far from the river. That's when the curse starts to change their appearance. Frank also explains that he's the one who built the city by the river over all these years. His whole life has been spent searching for the moon's tears tree. When he failed, he turned to tourism. Meanwhile, Joachim arrives at McGregor's location and threatens to destroy the tribe with missiles if he doesn't cooperate. McGregor reluctantly agrees and shows him the location of the tree on the map, but Joachim kills the bees to stop them from guiding Aguirre and his army to the spot. The next day, Lily and Frank reach a dead end on the river, the exact point where the water turns to stone. Frank dives underwater and finds a huge gate, but the entrance is too narrow for him to get through. The only person who can fit is Lily. Frank dives down with her and she enters the gate, but it's a trap. The gate locks behind her. At the same time, a swarm of piranhas attacks Frank, but he fights them off. Lily is on the verge of drowning due to lack of oxygen, but luckily the water level drops and Frank saves her. Once the water completely disappears, they realize they've reached the location of the magical tree. But unfortunately, Joachim shows up at the same time. Because of his stupidity, one of the bees is still alive and manages to escape, delivering the info to Aguirre. Joachim pressures them to take him to the tree, and when they finally reach it, they find the tree dead with no leaves at all. Frank tries to open the tree with the iron head spear, but he fails. Even Lily's attempt doesn't work. That's when they realize the spear isn't the key. It's the broken heart they need to fix in order for the tree to bloom again. Once they break the heart, they find a magical crystal, and when they use it, the tree starts to grow again. Just as the tree comes to life, Lily pulls out her gun, shoots Frank, and sends him tumbling to the bottom of the cave. As Joachim and his men gather the tree leaves, Frank suddenly appears and attacks them to free McGregor. After that, he takes control of his boat again with the help of his pet jaguar. Just before the moonlight fades, Lily manages to grab a leaf from the tree, but Joachim attacks her, and they both fall from the tree branch. The leaf lands in Frank's hands. At that moment, Aguirre and his men arrive, and Joachim gets killed. When they capture Lily, Frank shows them the leaf and leads them into a trap. Frank's plan is to destroy his boat and kill himself, Aguirre, and the rest of the army. Aguirre takes control, but Frank refuses to hand over the leaf because he already gave it to McGregor. Then, the boat crashes into the mountain and the jungle pulls them all in, turning them into stone because their curse was never lifted. But Lily gives up her dream of curing all diseases and uses the leaf to save Frank. However, even though she hands him the leaf, he remains the same. Lily and her brother leave in sorrow, but after a few moments, she hears the sound of the jaguar. She realizes Frank has come back to life. For their dramatic performance, the tree awards them an Oscar. In the end, they return to the city and say goodbye to Nilo, as Frank will now live in London with Lily. And that's the end of our movie.